maybe former Chief of Staff Meadows should talk to former Congressman Meadows. When he was serving here, he complained about subpoenas being ignored, information being hidden, and Congress being stonewalled. When it came to other people facing a congressional subpoena, he said, and I quote, "They may be able to ignore Congress, but they won't be able to ignore the American people," end quote. So I don't know what changed when he moved from working for one branch of government to the next. Maybe he's just that afraid of Donald Trump, but there are not two systems of justice in this country. No one is above the law. And, again, the more and more we reflect on what happened on that terrible day, the more and more I am stunned by the stonewalling of people close to Donald Trump. The American people deserve to know what happened and who was responsible. Again, a lot of time went by before the president finally intervened. Lots and lots of, we're seeing some of the texts that were released from Republican lawmakers and others, texting to Mr. Meadows, "We're under siege up here at the Capitol. They've breached the Capitol. Mark, protesters are literally storming the Capitol, breaking windows on doors, rushing in. Is Trump going to say something? There's an armed standoff in the House chamber, at the House chamber door. We are all helpless." Even some Trump administration officials, POTUS has to come out firmly and tell protesters to dissipate. Someone is going to get killed up here. Mark, he needs to stop this now. Tell them to go home. POTUS needs to calm this, I can't repeat it here, down. Even people, and you released this yesterday, in the very conservative news media were begging that there be an intervention, that the president put an end to this. And he didn't. It took hours. I really believe that, they say that sometimes, coups don't succeed the first time, but there could be a second or a third time. What happened that day was so wrong, and the president and some around him behaved in such a way that, quite frankly, everybody's life was endangered here on the Capitol campus. Staff, people who worked in our cafeterias, people who, the Capitol Police, who were injured, and some died. And at some point, enough is enough, and there needs to be a full accounting, and we all need to come together around this. And I get it. The politics is involved in everything we do up here, but this was just so wrong. And if the goal by some is to wait out the clock, to try to invoke stalling tactics so we don't ever get to the finish line, that's a terrible tragedy for this country. And we were there. Many of us were there on the floor that day. I was in the chair that day. And when I walked out into the speaker's gallery, I came face to face with this angry mob smashing the doors to get into the speaker's lobby. I couldn't believe what was happening here. I never thought such a thing would ever happen up here. And for people to try to minimize that, or to try to invoke delaying tactics, or to try to characterize it as something that it was not. This was not a group of people interested in protecting our democracy. This was a group of people trying to destroy our democracy. So I regret that we have to be here and invoke the measures that we're about to do, but this is serious business, and I commend you both for your efforts here. And but again, I think that we need a full accounting of what happened, and we need to understand why the president waited so long. Hours, hours went by before he finally decided to say anything. So I thank you. I have no questions, Mr. Cole.